You know, sometimes when we come together and many of us are missing, there's not many of us anyway. And some of us are missing, and there's so few here. And I'm going to be honest, it's disappointing. It saddens my heart. I would that the house was full. I would that everyone would see their need for Christ. Everyone would see their need to be in the house of God. You know, even Christians today don't see their need to be in the house of God. It's unfortunate, and it's saddening, and it's disheartening. And being human, you know, I think sometimes, God, what am I doing wrong? Am I pushing them away? Are they not coming because of me? But God told me, they haven't rejected you. They've rejected me.
Yes, that's right.
And it's a sign. It's a sign of the times. And I was just looking here, and in 1 John, he wrote in here, little children, it is the last time. If he could write when he wrote this some almost 2,000 years ago, it is the last time, where are we now?
Amen.
And Christians don't take it seriously. Christians just do not take it seriously. We say it, and we talk about it, but I don't think we take it seriously. If we took it seriously, we'd be living a whole lot differently than we are living. If we understood, we are in the last time. We've heard that all our life. And the Bible even said there are going to be scoffers, and there are going to be those who say, where is the promise of his coming? We've heard this all our life, but it's always been the same. And it's the same since the fathers fell asleep. Where is the promise of his coming? I'm going to tell you something. He's coming. And I don't think it's too very long. And yes, you've heard that all your life. But we're going to talk a little bit tonight about the last days and about the last time. And I believe we're extremely close. I believe we're very close. And I'm going to show you some things out of the Word that makes me think we're very close. And it makes me think that the church better understand that God ain't playing no games. And we need to get serious about this thing. And we need to understand that there's coming a day when He is going to come. And it's going to be too late then to say, whoops, I should have been doing more. It's going to be too late then to say, well, I thought I had more time. It's going to be too late then to do anything but stand before the Lord and answer for what you did not do.
That's right. That's right. Right.
Listen, in Matthew 24, we all know this scripture. This is what we always use. This is what we always talk about. To talk about when the last times are going to come. And these are very good signs. These are very good ways that we can know when that day is approaching. And I'm just going to read a little bit of this here. And this is Jesus speaking in Matthew 24. He said at the beginning of verse 5, many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of the sorrows. And it goes on and he talks about some other things, but I just want to touch on these things for a minute. These are the signs that I've heard preached all my life. These are the things that I've heard preached all my life. And yes, I'm going to tell you, these things have been going on since the creation of the earth. These things have been going on since sin entered into the world. We've had earthquakes, we've had famines, we've had pestilence, we've had all these things. But all you got to do is look, and you can find the recorded history. You can go back and you can find out they've never been as prevalent as they are now. We've never had as many of them occurring in unison as we have now. We've never had as much of this stuff going on at the same time as we have now. And yes, we know that. We see that. We turn on our news and we watch. And country after country around the world, there's earthquakes, there's tsunamis, there's famines, there's pestilence, there's all these things going on. And we see that. But what does the Christian do? We go on like we've been going on for how long? Does it spark us? Does it encourage us? doesn't make us know we have less and less time. We have less and less time to reach the lost, to reach your lost loved one, to reach my lost loved one, to reach those who are out there in sin. And again, we've heard this stuff, and it's over, and it's over, and it's over. And I think we've been desensitized to it. It's become not so real to us anymore. It's just like, you can go back so many years and you can look at what was on TV. It was Leave It to Beaver and Father Knows Best and things like that. But eventually they'd been to put in violence and nudity and sex and all this, a little bit at a time. At first there was a huge gasp from America that this stuff was on there. Now they can do anything and nobody bats an eye. You know why? Because it's over, and it's over, and it's over, and it's drummed in, and you become desensitized. It's just like an everyday thing now. But listen, we've let that happen with the gospel. We've let that happen with what Jesus was saying here. He said, when you see these signs, look up, because your redemption draweth nigh. He's very close to coming. He's getting ready to step out. He's getting ready to come and to take his children home. And I know I already said this, but I'm going to say it again. And when that happens, there is no more time. And you ain't going to get away with saying, I'm sorry, I should have done more. You're not going to have time to reach that lost loved one. It's not going to happen. And here's the point I want to make here before I move on. We've heard this all our life. And yes, these things have been happening all our life. But I want you to really stop and think at the frequency and the intensity and how many of these things are happening at the same time and all over the place. Go back 50, 60 years. And if you heard of a 5.0 earthquake, that was a big deal. Now you're having 6, 7, 8, not just in one place, but in several places around the world at the same time. It's picking up and it's picking up and it's picking up. And to a child of God, that should be an alarm bell. Alarms should be going off in our head. It's getting closer and closer and closer and closer. But we not only have these things, I want to look at some things that I have never heard preached about or never heard talked on that are also signs of the end of time. Now listen, I want you to remember that John wrote in 1 John, little children, it is the last time. If it was the last time then, where are we now? We are close. We are close. And I know you've heard this probably from every preacher you've ever heard preach about the end times. But I believe this from my heart. There are those sitting here that I believe will be alive on that day. I believe we're that close. I believe that from the bottom of my heart. And what do I base that on? This word. Amen. Listen, we're going to go into 1 Timothy. Here's some more signs of the last times. Before I read, I want you to think about this. We just had that big shooting out in Las Vegas. We just had that church shooting in Texas. Every day that I turn on the radio when I'm driving to work or when I'm driving around work, I hear of a shooting in York, in Lancaster, in Harrisburg, in small towns. It's increasing and it's increasing and it's increasing. And it's getting more and more and more. I just heard the other day 2 young girls shot in Harrisburg. I just heard the other day a boy shot in York. It just goes on and it goes on and it goes on. And again, this is something that's become such a regular thing, it doesn't make a difference. But I'm going to tell you something. These are signs of the last time. Listen, in the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 4, the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hard iron. But we're going to go on, but I want to make a point here. You listen, you look at the church, what the church has become. The church has given heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, and everything and anything that can be preached from the pulpit is being preached from the pulpit. Homosexuality is accepted. There are churches, so-called churches, that accept abortion. Everything is all right. You want to be a transgender or whatever they call it, that's That's all right. God made you that way. God still loves you. Come and sign the book and you're a member of the church. That's giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devil. If that ain't a sign of the last time, I don't know what is. Go back not too many years ago. None of that stuff would have been put up with. None of that stuff would have been allowed. But it's a sign of the time. He said, listen, you get this. This ain't my idea. He said the Spirit speaks expressly that in the latter times, in the last days, that these things would happen. They would give in to seducing spirits and doctrines of devil. And they would depart from the faith. That they would have their conscience seared with a hot iron. I'm going to tell you something. Nobody has a conscience anymore. They feel no guilt. They feel no remorse. It's like the killings I was talking about. They can go up, put a gun to somebody's head and blow their brains out and go get a hamburger.
That's right.
Their conscience is seared. There is no remorse. There is no guilt. It's a sign of the last days. And it's getting more and more and more and more intense. There was a time, and it was in my lifetime, when people weren't afraid to go to sleep and leave their door unlocked. Leave their door open with the screen door shut so they could get some air. Nobody ain't going to do that now. Why? Because things have changed.
Amen.
Because we're in the last days. And I know you've heard me say that. And I believe this, and maybe you believe this. And the further we go, the more rampant demons are going to become. The more demon possession you're going to see. And the more you're going to hear about. How do you think anybody can take a gun and just mow people down? To walk into a church and shoot children and old people. Tell me that ain't demon possession. That's demon possession. And that's a sign of the last days. Those people have been seduced by Satan. They've been seduced by demons. And that's a sign of the last days. And what does the church do?
Nothing.
Have we changed? Are we doing anything different? Or are we getting the idea that we don't have much time? Do we see the urgency of the hour? We don't.
No.
We come and we sit in our churches and feel good about ourselves. And as long as I make it, that's all I care about. We're supposed to care about taking as many with us as we can take with us. We're supposed to care about winning as many as we can win. Pulling as many out of the clutches of Satan as we can pull out of the clutches of Satan. But none of this stuff is making a difference to us. Church, we need to get alive. We need to get real. We need to get a fire. We need to understand that we are running out of time. It is time. It is high time that we understand this is the last time. And we don't have much time. And if you don't come tomorrow, maybe you'll come the next day. And if not the next day, maybe it'll be a month. Maybe it'll be a year. But I'm going to tell you something, even if it is, you're not guaranteed your loved one that is lost has even tomorrow.
That's right. Amen.
And what was the church doing?
Mm-hmm.
What do we do, really? What do we do? Why are we here? Why are we on this earth? Why is the church left here? One purpose. One purpose. To reach the lost. And what is the church doing here? Caring about themselves. And what they can get. And how they feel. And what's in it for them. And there is going to come a day. And I know you've heard it all your life, and you can shrug it off, and you can become numb to it, and you can let it go in one ear and out the other. But there is going to come a day when you're going to stand before a just God. You're going to stand before a righteous God. You're going to stand before a holy God. And my Bible tells me it is a fearful thing to fall into the hand of the living God. And not everyone that said, Lord, Lord, is going to enter therein, but he that doeth the will of my Father. What is the will of the Father for the church? To reach the lost. Is the church reaching the lost? No. So we are not doing the will of the Father. And not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, is getting in, but they that do the will of my Father. You know what? You can come to church, and you can feel good, and you can get worked up, and you can cry, and you can put money in the offering. But that's not the will of the Father.
That's
right.
The will of the Father is that you are the salt. You are the light. You are the witnesses. You are the voice of one crying in the wilderness. That's the will of the Father. And we don't have much time to do this. Because, little children, it is the last time. It is the last day. Listen, I want to go on here. Also in 2 Timothy chapter 3, this know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truth breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. Now listen to me. These are signs of the times. This is what Paul said, not what Brad said. He said, this know also, in the last days. In the last days, perilous times will come. If we don't live in perilous times, I'm going to be real honest with you. I have to do, for my job, I have to go into homes and interview parents of the kids that are in our projects and do it. And a lot of these homes I have to go to are in places in York that aren't real nice and aren't real friendly. And I'm a little skittish to go there. I have to go on streets where there have been shootings. I have to go in places where that kind of stuff goes on. It's perilous. We are in perilous times. And you don't even have to go somewhere like that for it to be perilous. Look at the shooting in Texas. They were in church. And it was perilous. We are in perilous times. And we all sit and we hear these things and we think about these things, and 5 seconds later, it's gone. And I'm worried about myself. Something about me, something that's my problem or my issue or this or that. Are we worried about those who are dying and going to hell? Are we worried about how little time we have left to reach those who are dying and going to hell? And again, the purpose of this is I want us to understand just how close it is. These are also signs of the time. Well, all our lives we've heard about the earthquakes and the tornadoes and all this, and we've become turned off to that. We've just shut it out and we don't think about it anymore. But we don't think about these things. Look how people are getting. Look. And there's only one thing that makes people like that. That's sin.
That's right.
And that's Satan. And that's demons running amok. And why is it getting so much more of an increase? Because as the church weakens, Satan strengthens. And the church is weak. For the last how many years the church has been steadily going down, going down, going down. And the further we go down, the more he comes up. That shows you it is the last day. Now listen, he said, in the last days, know this, perilous times will come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves. You know what they're teaching in school? It's about you. It's about you. It's about you. That's what they're teaching in elementary schools. It's all about you. Whatever you want, whatever you feel, whatever you think, it's all right. It's all about you. Now listen, there was a time when people had a care and a concern for their neighbor, or for somebody hurting, or for somebody down and out, or for things. You don't have that anymore. It's all about me. It's all about me. It's all about me. And again, these are signs of the times. Men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, all these things. It's just over. Our leadership fulfills these. You know that? Those that we have elected into public office that are supposed to be our leaders and looking out for our well-being, this is who they are. And this is what's going on. Disobedient to parents. I'm going to tell you something. I work a lot with kids, and I know I bring this up a lot because I see it. 5, 6, 7-year-old kids are telling the parents what to do. 5, 6, 7-year-old kids are just ignoring the parent and going and doing what they want to do. There was a time that would have never happened. But we are in the last time. Paul said this. Know this also, that in the last days, this would happen. We are in the last days. And the more it increases, the closer to the end we are. Disobedient to parents, unthankful, unthankful. Even Christians, I'm telling you. Let's get real.
That's right.
We're some of the worst group of whiners and complainers there is.